Hey everybody, this is Brad from Hair the Dogcast. We have a special presentation today. We have what was previously a Patreon exclusive episode, part 2 of our PlayStation VR console special, where we are discussing some of our favorite games, some of our least favorite games. Essentially, we kind of go through all of our experiences with the PSVR 1. Now, this was released a long time ago to our Patreon members, so if you are a Patreon member, thank you for supporting us. You have access as a Patreon member to all of our episodes early, exclusive episodes. We have an upcoming Final Fantasy IX episode that our Patreon members will be already having access to, as well as a part 2 that'll be specifically for them. So if you want to check out some of the amazing perks, go to patreon.com/hairthedogcast. For as low as $3 a month, you can get access to everything early and a whole bunch of exclusive stuff like Popcorn Dogs, where we discuss movies, Doggies After Dark, our after show, and so much more. So if you're curious, check that out. And here is part 2 of our PSVR special. And Hair the Dogcast is part of the HyperX Podcast Network. For more information, check out podcast.hyperx.com.
Yeah, I'd love that too.
And speaking of great accordions, everybody, welcome back to Raw Dogs. And this is the Raw Doggies, potentially after dark, but definitely. So
but let's be clear.
It turns out that the fire alarms, the smoke detectors can still go off even while you're podcasting in VR. It wasn't us. It was the upstairs landlord, but everything is fine. The pizza is not burnt.
Is he going to bring some down?
What's that?
Is he going to bring some down?
No. Greg will eat all the pizza. Yes, but I am one of your hosts, Brad. I am a raw dog, and I am, of course, joined by my hetero life mate over here.
It's me. I'm Dylan. I'm also a raw dog. The rawest of the dogs.
And I'm just like pretty
no
raw.
No condom.
Yeah.
And speaking of no condom.
It's me, Dominic, and I prefer medium rare.
Dom, do you want to be my hetero life mate?
Yeah, sure, Jamie.
Dope.
By the way, everybody, Jamie's here.
Hey-o.
Jamie, you're still here?
I'm still here, man. I'm a Bayviewite now.
I thought you were in Rec Room playing with some kids in VR.
Yeah, Jamie, how excited are you for this, by the way?
I'm kind of jacked about it.
No, dude, your house is pretty rad.
It's amazing.
It's pretty rad.
And
I haven't even been there.
And based on the fact that Brad and his fiance got there in like 20 minutes, that we're so close now.
Dude,
you are close.
If I wasn't about to move into an
there?
RV, if it's 30 feet, your driveway, I will live in your front yard.
We will measure that driveway, and then I look forward to you being in my front yard.
I'll pay your electric bill.
Dope.
VR video gaming. Now, I was thinking about what's the best DLC available in VR, and it has to be the Linkin Park music pack for Beat Saber.
Oh, you nailed it.
Crawling in my... Can't use any more of the words.
He tricked him. He got him there at the end. He dropped it.
See, I that's how talented I am.
Beat Saber, while not made exclusively for the PSVR, is one of the best playing games, I would say, for the system.
Fun.
Oh, yeah.
It works perfectly. I almost don't have any issues. I had issues with the camera one time, and it was lower, trying to figure out how to duck things. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But once you have it set up properly, it does what you want it to. Mm-hmm. And I'm a huge fan of rhythm games. And so you use your 2 move controllers as lightsabers. They're fucking lightsabers. Mm-hmm. And you have arrows flying at you that are down, up, left, right. Sometimes they're on the other sides. You have to use specific ones. But I mean, the only thing that I would say negatively is that there's not a huge song selection, and it's not anything you've heard before, which would be cool if they had some more.
So pretty much you're Luke Skywalker.
No,
playing Dance Dance Revolution.
He only really uses one lightsaber, though.
You're more like an Ahsoka Tano.
You're Ahsoka Tano.
Okay, there we go.
Have you played any of the original soundtrack that came out on the 18th of March? Dating this podcast.
Yeah, well, because they just released a new pack. I haven't played the new pack yet.
Yeah, so I haven't played any of that either. But they've now added a 4th soundtrack pack to it for free.
Yeah, which is cool.
So, and that's the great thing about this game is they'll keep adding to it, and they have a lot of downloadable content. I know Timbaland has like a a pack that he has for it as well. Linkin Park.
I already had to buy the game. I'm not going to spend $7 on Linkin Park and then $7 on Green Day.
Is Green Day in there?
Green Day's
They're in every rhythm game.
I think Imagine Dragons has one too.
So gentlemen, we've been talking all night about like really good VR games.
Yeah, let's talk about some shit.
So let's talk about everyone. We'll go around the table. Worst VR implementation. One game, worst VR implementation. It could be an add-on or a full VR game.
Titanic.
Really?
Titanic VR. First part, it looks terrible. None of the assets, none of the environments look great. Now, what you have me sold on the concept. All right, you can explore in VR the Titanic wreck, and I also assumed you'd be able to explore the inside, like where the stairwells were. You could like just that's all. I didn't want a story. I didn't want anything. It would have been fun just to be able to move in virtual reality through the entire ship and just see the
submarine,
see the layout, see what it's like, and not even the submarine. Like I want the past as well, so I can just see what it looked like. That's all I wanted, and you don't get that. The actual VR experience, you're only in the submarine or you're just outside the submarine. You can't explore most of the ship, just the outside.
That's so dumb.
You're getting narrated to by some voice actor, and then
James Cameron?
I guess
Well,
there
it's
is
possible.
there is a James Cameron character at some point, like some filmmaker shows up in another submarine, which sounds like the only possibly interesting moment.
But
Whoa, you're here
but-
too?
Yeah.
Cool.
But does your heart go on?
Well, no, it didn't. My heart died, and I spent like $8 on this, and I was pissed about it.
Did you find Jack's corpse?
I didn't see any corpses, but they do also have like when the ship.
I was joking. The fish would have ate it by now.
Yeah.
That's dark, man. That's dark.
It's real.
It's real life, folks.
Well, he actually got off of the wreckage and got out, I think. I don't know. We didn't see him actually die for sure. He just fell in the water a little bit.
That's in Titanic.
His eyes were open as he was drifting off into the endless abyss.
What if when she threw the heart of the ocean into the water, all of a sudden a hand came up and grabbed it at the very end of the movie? It would have been like, sequel alert.
Hey guys,
Titanic 2.
spoiler. No, it's in the works. Titanic 2 Electric Boogaloo. You guys just ruined the plot line.
Perfecto.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
Pretty good.
Titanic VR looks terrible, mostly a submarine simulator that has frustrating controls. That's my least favorite experience. And mostly because I paid money. There were worse experiences, but I paid money to have this bad experience.
Actually, I'll go next. I found Batman VR to just be so infinitely stupid.
Is it
I
because it's
hated
short?
it. It's not because it's short. It's literally because I felt like Batman, but Batman's paralyzed and Batman can't do shit.
Old Batman.
It's Detective Batman. This is not action Batman.
But that is my favorite Batman. I am a proponent of this non-Christopher Nolan,
You want the world's greatest detective, is what
I
you
want the world's greatest detective. And I didn't mind some of it, but did I want to watch Nightwing being beaten up a certain amount of times? Did I want?
Well, if it was Robin, yes, but
Well, he was wrong.
There were moments where this game is incredibly cool. Just like to be on the ground level, like inside of art, like
That's
the
fun,
city
yeah.
felt cool, and to be able to move around. Some of it was really bad, and I think
just found it boring.
The biggest problem for me is that they're marketing this as a $20 experience. If this was a free piece or like a $3 DLC as a prequel to set up for Arkham City, that's beautiful. That's a good thing because there's enough in here. Like there's a point where you look in a mirror and you're Batman. And Carly would look over and see me, and I'm just dancing as Batman because it's so fun. You can see yourself.
Yeah, I did that too.
Yeah.
I gotta play this just for that.
I think the game looks fantastic. The visual fidelity is right on point. When you first enter the Batcave and you really get this kind of panoramic shot of the entirety of this situation, I was like, oh, hell yes, I am so in. But when they put you at that computer, I got to tell you, it's boring and a little weird. It doesn't work. There's something about it, and I can't quite put my finger on it, and I've thought about it for a while. Something that really does not click. And I don't know what it is, because I found some things cool, like the way you take your batarangs out from like right here.
You
like on
put
your
put
front.
things on the belt.
You reached for your crotch there, man.
Yeah. Well, Batman gets his batarangs from his crotch.
Naturally.
Did you play this game, Jamie?
I have not, and it's one of those games where, to your point, Brad, it's too expensive. And I've always wanted to try it, but I didn't want to shell out $20 for something that I knew would probably be mediocre.
At the end of this like 2-hour experience, the Riddler's like, "Do you want to play again and find all the Riddler trophies?" I'm like, "You can fuck off." I've never liked you in any Arkham game, and the thought of doing this again is the worst. But it tells a small story, and it's acceptable. Like, if you spent money for it, that's unfortunate. But I mean, they're teasing some of the things that they do in Arkham City, which is fun.
Okay.
Near the end of it, there's a sequence where you're realizing like the Joker's in your brain, and you turn around, and they do that fun distorting reality where you look one way, and you look back, and it's all different. And I'm like, fuck up my sense of reality as much as you want. Like, that's the good stuff. Seeing a Killer Croc model attacking towards you in 3D is fun. Like, this is a very cool, like, little fluffy extra thing to throw for free at people, in my opinion. If this was free, I'd be like 5, 6 out of 10. That's fine. But spending money, I didn't love it.
I got it for free from you, and I still said to myself, well, I got to the stage where I was constantly rewinding a fight scene, and I went past it. I figured out where Dick Grayson got his fucking neck snapped, and I was like, oh, okay. And the funniest thing on earth is when you're sitting in the Batcave and you're you and you're sitting there and you're Batman essentially, but you're not. Because it's quite obvious when Alfred's like, they killed Master Dick. And then Batman's like, I have to find out who did this. I'm like, really? You're not going to have any emotion for the child you adopted?
Well,
whatever. I was so unemotionally invested. I was just like, I don't care about this shit.
Worst VR game. So, I try my best to not spend money on games that I hear are shit. So, just recently, the PlayStation Store had a sale.
Uh-oh.
And I filtered all the games to tell me what was for VR.
Uh-oh.
And I bought a game called Immortal Legacy: The Jade Cipher.
I've seen screen
Now,
caps of that.
If you have played this game and you like it, I like it. The controls are god awful. You can only move forward by pushing the buttons. You have to hold both of them. And then to move, you have to do the like left or right.
Like
with a
Katamari
button.
with both of them?
So you have to stop to move left or right. It is an on-rail shooter. So if enemies are coming at you in every direction and you want to move forward and move at the same time, it sucks. So if you just come to terms with that and go, okay, I can look every direction and shoot every direction, you just stop. But the problem with that is you are a man getting shot at, just standing there. So you have to be really good at shooting people. But I will tell you, when you get good at this and you start shooting people and you're getting headshots left and right, it doesn't fucking matter. So when I first started playing this, I was like, this is horrible. It's super buggy.
Yeah.
When you look down at your arms, because your arms are always in like, I'm walking mode, but your wrists are what you can move your wrists around when you move the controllers, but the arms stay where they are. So when you look down, you're like, your hands are pointed down and your arms are pointed up. It looks ridiculous.
So it's like when they first started doing FPSs with the
kind of,
nunchucks.
yeah. But the story itself is this secret agent man. It's voiced by the guy who is the voice of Geralt of Rivia from The Witcher.
Cool.
Henry Cavill?
Not Henry Cavill.
The voice actor.
Oh,
the voice actor from the actual Witcher.
Okay.
And so that when it started, I was like, cool, I'm into it. Let's do this.
Well, go ahead.
You're flying over China, your plane explodes, you land on this island, and you have to figure out what the fuck is going on. And it's very Uncharted #1.
Oh no.
Where you keep hearing these stories of like this jade that has like mutated people, and so you're first off you're fighting just these people who are there trying to find this jade, and then it gets real weird, and there's cyborgs, and like it goes off the rails real quick.
But you like this game.
But I like it.
Okay, so it's not your worst VR experience?
It is my worst VR experience because of the controls.
Yeah.
So like I said, I try and look out there and see what people are like. These games are good. This one is like, when it's on sale, get it, because if you're going to buy it full price, you're going to be like, why did I pay full price for this? There are a lot of games like that. Durasane is one of them. I don't know if you played that. I don't think I would have paid $30 for that game. Do me a favor right now, Brad. Look up Durasane on your thing, and you will be this is why I bought the game, because when I found out who made it, I went, I'm diving headfirst into this.
What is it? How do you spell it?
Deracine.
It sounds like a sparkling water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Durasane.
When I'm thirsty, I only
So Brad,
drink
take a
Durasane.
look at
Premium
the
water.
developer of this game.
Designer by Miyazaki.
Uh-huh.
Hidetaki Miyazaki. That's not the Dark Souls Miyazaki, right?
It is. It is. It was made by From Software.
Well, now you got Dylan's attention too.
Okay. So when
Dylan looks concerned.
When I saw this game, I went, okay, I don't know if I want to pay $30 for it. But when it was $10 on the PlayStation Store, I went, all right, here we go. Let's give it a crack.
There's a VR game made by From Software,
Yes.
designed by Miyazaki?
Yes, and I have been waiting for this moment in this podcast to talk about this game, because when I first started playing this game, I was like, this is From Software. I don't know if I like this. It's a point-and-click adventure where you are playing as
into
a
that.
fairy,
Yeah.
and you're in this orphanage boarding school in Europe,
Checks out.
and you're like helping these kids basically at the start of this game, help them discover that you exist as a fairy. So
why do people not know about this?
Right, exactly. That's why I was like, okay, I have to know what this game's about. So in
Is
this
he the
game,
director?
He,
Yeah.
He directed it
Yeah.
and the lead designer.
dude, right? That's why I had to get it. So
Okay.
you start out and
It hurts a little. But
I know.
I've never even heard of this.
It has a decent Metacritic and a lot of good, like, solid review scores. It's like around 7 generally. Like, it's not bad.
yeah,
What did Famitsu give it?
it's a very hidden gem. I feel
35
like.
out of 40.
That's really good.
35
Yeah.
out of 40, yeah. Wow. I mean,
The Japanese have different sensibilities, so
Right.
there's
But-
a lot of this that I only take with a grain of salt.
The gameplay of this is it's all point and click. So as a fairy, when you are there, time is frozen,
yeah.
right? You get these abilities of manipulating time and also sucking life from something to give it to something else.
You had me.
So at the
Sounds like
very
Amazon.
beginning of the game, there's this girl who's like, I know fairies exist. Help me like tell my friends that they do. So you like suck life out of a stem of grapes and then go over to her, and she has a dead flower in her hand and she's frozen. And then you give life to the flower.
Is there any old gods?
Well, and that's where it
Their
gets
boss battles?
So I feel like you guys should play this, because maybe the first 4 chapters I was like, do I like this? And then after the 4th chapter, I was like, holy shit, this is, it gets real dark real quick.
I need to aggressively play this game
Yeah.
right now because I am just
Again, if you
You
need
should
my
start
password-
downloading it now.
curiosity levels are at an all-time
Yeah.
high.
This one surprised me because, again, the first half of the game, I was like, it's weird. All these kids seem like they're on Valium. They're all talking like, oh, let me put the herbs into the soup. And you're like, what is going on in this game?
You're just seeing time slowly, though.
Yes. So you are the one that's manipulating time, but there's also bits where like it's memories of things. So like you see like a shadow of a character, and then you touch it and this like ball of light comes out of it, and then you grab the ball of light and then it replays the memory, and then you get this like story build up, and you're like, oh, I need to go upstairs into the attic and unlock some box because there's something in this box that I need to get in order to progress the story. And I was pleasantly surprised. Apparently, the end of the game, everybody who's played it is like, this game bugged out on me because you're manipulating time.
Don't spoil it.
Well, it's not.
You're kind of spoiling it.
Well, all I want to say about
I hate spoilers.
about the end of the game, which made it great
He runs
for me,
fast.
was
That's not a spoiler.
after I finished it, I looked up like, what the fuck did I just play? And I guess, who's the director?
Hidetaki Miyazaki.
His number
I
one.
like it when we say things
His
together.
number one rule is wizards are stupid.
Yes. Always
And
has been.
There are a lot of things in this game that
Yeah.
is very true.
He doesn't like
There are
magic
things that
systems.
it's like,
Yep.
do not overthink it because it's literally right in front of your face.
Jamie, what is your worst VR experience?
So this is a bit of a sidebar because it's an add-on. Tekken 7.
Tekken 7 has VR.
It does.
What is it? Is it like a character viewer?
No. It's literally you play Tekken.
Did they finally throw Hihachi in a volcano?
No. VR Tekken. I'm a huge Tekken fan. Have been since like a teenager. VR Tekken 7. You put on your helmet, your PSVR, and you play a 3D fighting game. It's not first person. You see your characters. The only difference is that you can look at the cross-hatched background looking like
No
the
shit.
holodeck from Star Trek.
Sick rhyme, dude.
Well, I mean, if it's a free way to just kind of see the game, I guess it's not offensive.
I would agreed, but it's just so half-assed. And I would much rather pay $20 for the Batman experience and be like, fuck, I wasted $20 than waste hard drive space to download the VR expansion and have it be bullshit. You know what I mean?
Dancing
they
as
do.
Batman was worth $5. I'll give them $5 just to like see me in a mirror doing this as Batman was a $5 experience.
As soon as you said that, it's like, I want to try that game.
Dude,
I want to dance as Batman.
That is a good experience, yeah.
Yeah.
Tekken 7. There are a number of games that give you like, oh, there's VR. And I'm like, I found out Persona 5 Dancing in Starlight had a VR mode. I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
Like, I imagine you'll be able to just like the camera swings around in 3D around when you're doing this stuff. No. The VR experience for Persona 5 Dancing in Starlight, it's just a character model viewer. You can like get close to the characters and like look around. I'm like, this feels pervy.
It's very perfect.
Yeah.
It's like,
defo.
I can put Ryuji finally in anything I want.
Oh, shit, dog.
I want to talk about Iron Man. I played through this game and it was like a 7-hour experience. It was, I think, 13 or 14 missions, and I stood up the whole time to play through it. Did you have a chance to play it at all, Dom?
No, Jamie hogged it all.
He hogged it all.
No, man, Sarah was home.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That's the
My
real
girlfriend
truth.
came home and I played VR in real life.
What if she came to visit and you literally just...
Vagina reality, if you know what I mean.
Oh,
you can cut that
shit.
out if you want.
No, I like
No,
that.
leave it in.
I'm going to just actually isolate
She's
the
not
audio.
paying. She's not paying for Patreon. So
Oh, no.
you're
Then
safe.
leave it in.
I can isolate the audio and post it on Facebook.
That'd be funny.
Add some reverb to that.
We'll blackmail.
Vagina.
We'll just blackmail you. It's fine. No, I played it.
Yes. How far did you get in?
Not far at all, because I found it to be an abysmal, not fun experience.
No. How far? How many missions did you get through? Like 2, 3?
One maybe.
See, dude, and I was the same.
I hated it.
No, I was
I
the
just
same.
couldn't.
So you move by taking the move
jet
controllers
propulsion sucks.
and you like aim down. I was extremely impressed by all of the movement, all of the shooting.
Me, Hands down, me too.
Okay,
Best
so-
part of the
But
game.
no, dude,
here's my problem.
It controlled terrible the first mission because I didn't know what I was doing.
Yes.
Once you get to like mission 5 or 6, you start vibing and flowing. You get to points where the game feels phenomenal.
Hold on. I call this game Balloon Fight VR. That's how the physics work.
Can you talk like you've just breathed in helium balloons?
What do
Yeah, no, like it. I thought it felt so dumb because I grew up with Iron Man comics. Since I was 9 years old, before any of this shit was actually pretty fucking
too, man.
sick
Me
as
too.
fuck. And I got to be honest with you, I was immediately like, oh, what a power fantasy. I'm flying around. Oh, the jet propulsion doesn't come from his hands. That's how he steers. It comes from his feet.
Well, they don't have the feet controllers yet, Dylan.
No, they do. They got the rudder.
Oh,
You can't stand on it though.
They used to call
it's
it a Dutch rudder.
The Dutch rudder.
Dude, I don't know. Like
I didn't like it because I felt immediately within my bones. I was suddenly just like, first of all, the guy they got to play Tony Stark sucks.
I agree. He was a wiener.
he was wooden.
he was wooden and a wiener.
Hey guys,
and
I'm
you could
Tony
have
Stark.
literally just chose. I'm Tony Stark, and I showed up one day, and I'm like the Elon Musk of the future. Thank you.
I
Bye-bye.
will say the before the mission stuff at like the mansion that always happens got annoying. The loading times were annoying, and I thought overall the story was fine. I was pretty impressed. I liked that Ghost was the villain, and then they also had the human laser. And there's a lot of really good jokes about how stupid the name is, the human laser.
I watched some more. The Human Laser is a very important Iron Man villain.
He's not wrong.
It's just
No,
funny though.
I
Like,
know.
Yeah, it's a terrible name.
Yeah.
It's like
It's
Condiment
really
Man.
bad.
It's a terrible name, but
It's like Dr. Spectrum. It's just like,
Yeah.
what is he, autistic? But like,
Artistic. It's pronounced
dude, once
artistic.
you figure out the movement though, there were points where you are like shooting things out with one like
as you slowly descend.
with palm rockets.
No,
the other
no,
one
no.
can. The other one keeps you up if you keep the other one floating. You see a tank on the ground. You do a punch mechanic, knock the tank off, like into the air off the ground. You hit the ground, aim up, shoot it while it's in the air, and then rock it off the ground. And it felt slick. It felt amazing. And dude, I never had a power fantasy for Iron Man before. Like I used to always dream about like Spider-Man or Hulk, and like the way they move is cool. But like Iron Man, after that, you know, it made me feel like Iron Man.
So there is a
that
button
stupid
combo
Mm-hmm.
to stay hovering, and when you discover
really?
that,
Oh, fuck.
it does change it.
I just was immediately I was so turned off.
You didn't give it a fair shake.
No, I didn't.
You should. No, like it wasn't until mission 3 or 4 where I was like, okay.
I'll have to try it here sometime. The reality of a lot of these experiences, and maybe we haven't talked about that aspect of it enough, is that a lot of these experiences feel extremely superficial. And a lot of them are not necessarily like go-getters, or a lot of this still feels so much like experimentation that a lot of it is such a shot in the dark. What's going to work? They're throwing darts at a globe, trying to figure out where they want the great vacation to go. Bad metaphor. What I'm trying to say is they're really taking a lot of shots, and while I dig it, I'm also, if I immediately just kind of, I'm like, do I want to deal with this? If the answer is no, then I usually won't.
To me, this was one of the most unique experiences on the VR. As far as implementing the move controllers, I would say this is arguably one of the best implementations as far as movement and being able to look around in a 3D environment and shoot things with like just the fact that like this is shoot out of your palm and you aim it down and you shoot like out of your wrist at things. Like it's super slick, it's customizable, and you're right. Like it takes a lot of shots and it misses some of them. But I was mostly really impressed with this game. And when you hit the moments where the gameplay clicks, there's nothing like it.
Yeah.
And I was blown away by that. And it's a long enough experience. There is filler. There is a good amount of filler where they reuse levels for missions, but there is a full superhero storyline. Of course, the anagram for Tim Chung is gunsmith. That is a thing. And I saw that coming, but I don't know. There was even if the acting wasn't great, they had a story. They had a full superhero experience in it. It didn't feel like as good as a Spider-Man or a Batman, but I'm like, they went for it, and I think they accomplished something special and unique. And I think if people put in enough time, they will eventually start vibing with it in a good way.
I wish it was more like a Superman experience.
Superman would be sick in VR.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's coming.
But, I mean, I think everyone really wants to talk about one thing, and that's Kingdom Hearts, the VR
Oh,
experience.
hell yeah.
Are you Sora
Yeah,
There-
you are
there-
actually.
with a Keyblade?
There is a sequence
You
where
aren't
this...
with a key-
No, there is a sequence where this is a Keyblade, and you swing it dark, like the heartless, the heartness, the darkness,
You know
Heartless.
exactly what it is.
whatever they are. No, dude,
You
it's
don't
been
have a
while.
Keyblade immediately. You start out in the gummy ship.
Oh, fun!
Well-
the best part of Kingdom Hearts.
Well, no, there's also a sequence where you're just sitting in the clock tower with Axel and Shion just eating ice cream.
fuck
It's
off.
so good. So
Well,
good.
I hate
it's-
this.
It's terrible.
No, I, you know what I put down? I put 6 out of 10 because you know why? You know
are
what?
such a
No,
dork.
you know why? It's free, and for Kingdom Hearts fans, if you
It
want,
actually was kind of fun.
if you want more Kingdom Hearts, it's there, and they show a few scenes from the game. It's harmless. It's free.
It's nothing.
Do I get
it's
to
nothing
hear
special.
Uchada Hikari?
I'm sure at some point that song played. I don't know. I didn't. This is what I put. It's free. I can't hate it. It is free. And something for fans. And it wasn't annoying, but it's just like, if you want more time with these
I can
characters
take
in
a
the
shit
universe,
for free.
and I don't hate that either.
Yes, you do. You would if I did it on your floor
Well, yeah, but
or in your VR goggles.
Upper Decker.
I would hate that.
I don't think free is a good metric to judge games on because that's not actually
Well, no, I mean,
approaching its artistry. You're approaching its in what you perceive to be its inherent value.
if people want to have a little bit more time in Kingdom Hearts with some characters, and it's like they didn't pay for it. Like if I paid $5 for this experience, I'd be like, that was money
It
wasted.
was
but-
cool driving the gummy ship and turning around and listening to
Donald
and
and
seeing
Goofy.
Donald and Goofy talk to me. It was kind of cool.
It's like I'm really here.
It was.
Gosh,
It was.
I'm really in front of you, Sora.
Your Goofy is pretty good.
What else you got?
What, you don't
on
like my
that list?
Donald?
Your Donald was bad.
Thank you.
Let's talk about a little game called Star Trek Bridge Crew.
Oh shit.
Oh, I want to hear Jamie.
well, okay,
Yeah.
you're the captain. I'm Scotty. Ahura's taking off right now to use the bathroom. And you're Carl Urban.
Sure.
Yep.
Whoever that is.
He might be Scotty as well. I don't know.
Could be.
Here's the thing about Bridge Crew. I don't care if you're a Star Trek fan. It's an RTS.
How does it work?
So
You use your
Let
move
me-
controllers.
go ahead.
So you log in. Number one, you do your training missions because you're using your computer. It's complex.
So you are a member of the Bridge Crew and you are at a
Yes.
computer. Can you be any member of the Bridge Crew?
You can be the engineer,
Okay.
the helmsman, the weapons guy, or the captain.
Similar computers for everyone though.
No,
Okay.
this is where it gets in depth. Everyone has a different layout and different functionalities. So you need to understand each position. You have multiple screens, and when you use your move controllers, which I highly recommend you do, you're hitting all your little buttons with your fingers. And the move controls are actually quite good. You see your arms in real time. You're using your computer right in front of you. It's all first-person perspective. What makes this game great, I don't care if you have a hate on for Star Trek, if you love Star Trek, whatever.
Yeah, I'm indifferent.
This is a group. This is a buddy game
Yeah.
where you can shoot the shit. So your pre-mission, you're sitting around a table and you're shooting shit.
You play this in VR with people?
VR.
So like you can the other people when they move around, you see them move around. That sounds pretty cool.
You're
Right.
shooting the shit, and all of a sudden, oh guys, mission starting. Oh shit, let's go to the ship. But before then, you got to choose your position. I call this, and apparently, from my time playing it with a bunch of random other nerds online, myself included, you don't want to be the captain. Because that's the hardest job, right? You're directing everyone. So this is real.
You're directing a bunch of other people over like online gaming, which is the toughest part.
Yes. So you're sitting there.
Fuck you.
Fuck you, Captain. I'm going to shut down the shields.
I would be like, mutiny, mutiny, and I would just start pressing buttons.
But that's what is so enjoyable about this game.
Yeah.
If you want to be serious about it, you be serious about it. If you want to fuck around, you fuck around. To me, I played with like random people online.
Yeah.
But to me, this game is probably one of, in my mind, would be one of the best LAN party experiences.
Yeah, let's all
right?
hang out and fucking
Shoot some fucking Klingons.
Well, I mean,
and
it doesn't matter if it's a LAN party either. Like, if we were all together in one room with 4 VR headsets, there's no real benefit versus if we're all at home.
You're also
in
gonna
4
work
VR.
so I say LAN party in jest, right? Like,
Yeah. I know what you mean, though.
yeah.
But it's like, I mean, it's that interactive, though, too. It's like, I could look over and see Dom, even if Dom was at home. That is one of the VR experiences that hasn't been tapped into enough, where I think it's like, I want them to just make like this table. You don't have to make anything out of like a couple like rooms, and you could just have like a Dungeons and Dragons in VR where the pieces, you can like customize your piece, and there could be like levels that you'd interact with actually, and a DM that can just like on the fly like just change rules. This would be better with a keyboard for them, but could you just imagine like being able to have a virtual reality experience with a board game, Monopoly in VR, anything in VR?
Monopoly would be
so
easy.
what?
We
One thing.
talked
One,
about Catan and VR doing that together.
I wasn't sure the PSVR one might not have the same functionality as the
Right.
bigger stuff.
So here's the thing about Bridge Crew. So even though lockdown is over, to me, Bridge Crew would have been the ultimate lockdown VR experience, just because you're shooting your shit with your buddies.
yeah.
You look like Kirk, you look like Picard, you look like Uhura, whatever. But the fun aspect of that is there. And it's exactly the type of game that we were searching for the other night, last weekend. Hey guys, what can we play as a group of guys in VR where we don't have to fucking look at each other?
Speaking of some nerdy franchise that some people love, most people love, a lot of people love. I have been a pretty big fan of Doctor Who for maybe about 6 or 7 years. I joined on like near the
end of the Matt Smith era.
not the end of the Matt Smith era. I joined with Peter Capaldi. I joined late in the.
wow.
I joined late, but then I went back.
Not
to,
even the good stuff.
dude. I love Capaldi. He's Capaldi's one of my favorite doctors. He's as a doctor, he's great.
Would
Maybe
you
not
like
the
a
best
Lego
stories.
set of him? I have
Yes.
it. I'll give it to you for free.
But I joined with Capaldi, and then I also became a very big fan of Eccleston, and then of course Tennant I'm a big fan of. Smith was okay, but I've watched all of that. I haven't seen a lot of Whittaker Doctor Who because
It's not very good.
No, I've seen like the stuff I've seen I wasn't impressed with, but there is a VR game called Doctor Who: Edge of Time, which I purchased. This is a purchase, and
Is this like Abe's Odyssey?
no, this is like a bad game.
Nicely put.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, like I heard there was one where it's a side scroller with Doctor Who.
no, that'd be
Thinking
better
about
than this.
something else. Okay.
So what
this-
do you do in this game, Brad?
You try and move around. You try and grab
try.
things.
You try.
You try and navigate the TARDIS. You try and do a lot of things, and it's poorly implemented. It looks like shit. It's badly explained.
Is Karen Gillan in it?
No, this is Jodie Whittaker who, and you are just showing your preferences here.
I like the cave woman from the 70s.
Oh, you're getting deep here. He's going deep. Dylan's going deep.
Going
again on the
deep.
raw
I can't remember her
dogs.
fucking name, but when I was really depressed, I downloaded a torrent of all the fucking episodes of old Doctor Who
From
that
the
they
60s?
everything pretty much, and I would just watch it all the way through while I was playing video games. And he literally has like a companion who's like Unga Bunga, just me, cave woman. Lady. I'm like, okay, I like this.
Is this the one where is this the very first episode when they're like in Tutankhamun's tomb? In
No, the first
Egypt?
episode, it's him and his granddaughter. There's also a robot named K9. Very funny.
K9's cool though. Yeah.
He shows up in a Tenet episode.
Why is he called Canine?
Hey, Brad, do you want to talk about Pinball FX?
Yeah, let's we have a quick couple minutes before we have to take a break to talk about pinball effects. You lead this one.
So I really enjoyed this game because when you're playing pinball, it feels like you're actually playing a pinball machine. What I don't like about this game is that when you buy it for however much it is, I bought it for $2 because they just recently had a sale. It only gives you 3 different machines.
Well, that's been the pinball VFX model or pinball effects model for a while.
Right.
You get the core game, and then they sell you DLC.
Right. But
Fucking
had
hate
I
it.
bought it for $15 or whatever it was, I would have hated the fact that it came with 3 different pinball machines.
It's yes. So, and these are machines that I have played because I'm a big pinball guy, and I've had pinball FX2
I saw
and
your
FX3.
leaderboard scores on my thing when I played it the other day.
They're not great, but they're not terrible.
They were much better than mine.
My biggest gripe with the pinball VFX
Is that you can't tilt the machine?
No, you can't use the move controllers, and I want to hold it like a pinball machine.
That would be sick.
And use these guys as the flippers or like even either buttons, the triggers or the move buttons, but you have to use the regular controller. And it's fun. It's cool that you're looking at a pinball machine and it feels cool.
It's cool that you can look around and there's weird animations going on while you're doing it.
It's fun enough.
Yeah.
And does this need to be in VR? Probably the least of everything we're talking about.
Right.
But it's a solid experience and I still enjoy playing.
I had a great time playing pinball in VR.
So I haven't tried this, but speaking of what you just said, it doesn't have to be a VR experience. It sounds like it would be better if it was an experience where it's an open lobby, no 5-year-olds, and someone can smack down a token
And
Right
claim
beside you.
dibs
So
on
you
next
have to
game.
take turns in a VR version.
That'd be kind of
But
cool, man.
maybe
No, it
that would
wouldn't.
force you to go to another game that you wouldn't normally go to
VR
and end
arcade.
up liking.
I've
I
heard,
also think that's really bad game design, but you know,
Well, if it's somebody online doing it.
I've heard that they are experimenting, like people that have been data mining this PSVR 2 stuff and like looking at what's been released. They are experimenting with like sports games where if your friends want, they could like watch you play a game from like a spectator position. So they would also just like cut to fans while you're playing FIFAs or whatever, and there'd be like Dylan dressed like this, going, yeah, he'd be dressed like Uhura, and he'd be just waving his arms around.
That actually sounds like a lot of fun.
That is kind of cool, yeah.
And speaking of Uhura and Dylan dancing, we're gonna take a quick break, hear from some of the
fuck?
other. I don't know. I don't have any segues anymore.
Dylan will do a table dance for us right now.
yeah, I really love the movie Coyote Ugly, so you know, I've memorized all the dances.
I mean, we're definitely taking a break for that.
Yeah.
Hell
Let's do
no, H2O.
We're going to hear from some of the other amazing shows from the HyperX Podcast Network and be right back.
The Hardcore Gaming 101 podcast is on a mission to rank the top games of all time. I like the idea that when Bruce Wayne gets angry, he switches to the Batman voice.
Why do you have such a problem making Boomerang shaped like a bat? You mean like Batman? Not like Batman, just make it for me! Bruce Wayne, uncanny even with this guy.
It's a Herculean task, and I'd be lying if I said it hasn't taken a toll on our cognitive faculties.
Most people would be happy to have a job during a global pandemic. Dentists!
Hardcore Gaming 101, twice a week, every week, right here on the HyperX Podcast Network.
The award-winning Go Nintendo podcast is the best place to get the latest news on the world of Nintendo. We cover the biggest stories, share impressions of the latest games, and answer your burning questions. There's also some general pop culture talk, game music trivia, a heaping helping of silliness, and did I mention our robot companion?
I'm the star of the show.
Catch new episodes of the Go Nintendo podcast every Saturday on the HyperX Podcast Network.
If you're a shrewd shopper, it's about to be your favorite time of the year. HyperX will be running massive sales for the holiday season. Get up to 50% off some of our most popular products, like the Ultra Comfy Cloud 2 headset, the tough, responsive Alloy Origins mechanical keyboard, and the fan-favorite Quadcast USB microphone. Sales will be going on at all major e-tailers, but be sure to head to HyperX.com and sign up for the newsletter to get the scoop on the biggest deals. Happy holidays from HyperX.
No, it really is. Like, even if you don't like Star Trek, it's just an RTS. It's
it's
real
like
time.
arm shields, and then you're the shield guy, and
Bingo.
you press the shield
Bingo.
button, right? Yeah.
And welcome back, everybody. This is still the Raw Dogs, and you're still listening to us.
Oh, we're so old now. We've been here forever.
So they're
Get off my lawn.
but only in VR.
A whole 37 episodes.
There
Our
are
perception is distorted.
there's a lot of games, but there are. I've made a list of 5 more that I think we should talk about. If like, we should. I want to.
Okay.
And
There's a couple I want to still talk about too.
who has played Static? I can talk about it quick if no one else
I
has.
have not, but it looks amazing.
Go ahead, Brad.
Static is you're a test subject. It kind of like Portal, and there is a scientist instead of like a robot. There's a scientist guy who is just like talking down at you the whole time. He's like, "Oh, you haven't figured it out? That's okay." And he's like, "Oh, did you mean to do that?" The whole time there's a scientist character looking at you, but your hands are in a device, and it's in different devices for every level. The device, though, is your PS4 controller. So you can, like, turn your controller and, like, look at different sides. And there's different things on all sides of the box that your hands are in.
Like a puzzle box?
It's a puzzle box. And you'll have to, like, move this thing or find the right code or look around the room. But it's essentially, like, I want to say maybe 8 or 9 different puzzle boxes that you have to, like, look around your controller. And all of the buttons do different things in every puzzle box. And you have to figure it out. The story is fun because you don't know why you're being tested. It does remind me of Portal. The guy talks down at you, and there was one moment where you unlock a part of the puzzle box and you're able to control a remote control car and look at a screen in the puzzle box and drive around in the world. So I'm just like, my legs are crossed and I'm just like looking down and controlling a remote control car through a camera, through my VR. And I'm like, this is some Inception level shit because it feels extremely natural.
You felt like Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
And I was dancing around on like a spinning room. It was great. But I will say, play it if you have a chance. There was one line where I finished the puzzle box and the guy goes, "Wow, you're a machine. So are tractors."
Brad,
it's like, ooh, it hurts.
If you fail one of these static boxes, does it like explode in your hands?
No, there's no pressure like that. This is just he'll talk more shit at you the longer it takes to figure something out, and it hurts, but you die inside, not in the game.
So one of the reason why I ask is because one of the best games that me and Jamie played multiplayer VR, if you can believe that, in the same room with one headset, is called Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes.
Yeah, this is an asymmetric multiplayer experience.
This one, we thought we were going to play for 10 minutes, and we ended up playing for, 3 hours?
I'd say like 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
This is sadly an unused aspect of PSVR.
Right.
Where the screen can do one thing and the VR headset does another.
Right.
So everyone else in the room can do a different aspect.
So in this game, so in this game, if you're in the headset, you have a bomb in front of you, and you have to defuse it.
I've seen a lot of playthroughs of this.
Right,
actually,
but the only way that you can defuse it is with the help of somebody literally telling you what to do.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And
like literally, like you gotta get this. You gotta get that.
They're reading a different manual on the screen, and you're defusing the bomb in that.
You're telling them what you see on the bomb, and they have to flip through 23 different pages on a manual and be like, "What do you see?" And you're like, "I see wires. I see this. I see that." And they have to flip to a page.
Well, that's what the Wii U could have been.
Oh, this is so fun though as a multiplayer concept
because it's the same concept where you have to flip it around and look at the back, look at the front. There's serial numbers that have clues. So depending on like what you have on this particular bomb, and it changes every time. So when you blow up, you go back in and you're like, all right, let's do it again. It's a different bomb. So you're like, okay, this time I see this. And they go, okay, hold on. And they have to flip to the page. You have a time limit. You have a certain amount of strikes that you can like fuck something up. And then once you're done with strikes or the timer runs out, boom. You're done.
The ultimate part of this was, and this is more of a personal thing, but Dom and I are taking turns in the headset. We're just fucking up left, right, and center. It's like, oh, it looks like this. Oh, do you mean this? No, man. Boom. We're dead. My wife, the scientist, is like, guys, you guys are fucking...
Not the scientist.
You guys,
she's a fucking doctor.
You guys are fucking dumb. It's this. And she's like solving every fucking puzzle.
Problem.
And
she didn't want to play to begin with.
The whole night. She's like, this game is so fucking dumb, guys. You know what she said to me the other night? hey, Jamie, do you want to play that bomb game?
Well, it's an exercise in communication,
Dude,
and
it is.
it's just like playing Overcooked with someone. You have to understand you're going to be upset, and you're going to learn how to work together.
No, never.
But the best part about this game is you can have multiple people watching you do this, and you're still going to have a good time.
But it's actually better. Sorry to cut you off, Brad. We decided that as a group that night that you need minimum 2+, because if it's just you and a buddy, you're not going to do it.
Right.
You need like a third person or a fourth person. It's a party game, is what it is.
Yeah.
You need people with different levels of puzzle solving intellect to
Or like language, even like people
Bingo.
who can describe things.
Somebody
Bingo.
who's really good at Simon Says.
Yeah.
Somebody who's really good at deciphering Greek letters.
Sure.
Like it has all that. And if you get a group of people that can just
It's like an
look at a
escape
manual and go,
room
exactly.
on your VR.
That's exactly what it is.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's
And
cool.
it's got the other screen functionality and an asymmetry, which is really fun, which I don't think any of us realized. I found this out the other day. Playroom VR is a free experience, and most of it is asymmetrical. And
This is another Astrobot thing, right?
This was a free pack-in with with Astrobot, and most of the experiences are multiplayer with one person in the headset and everybody else doing other things. I couldn't try the other experiences, but I heard one of them is like the guy in the like whoever's in the VR, it's almost like a Godzilla thing, and everyone else can use regular controllers, and they're trying to like attack you, and you. The most of the experience for the Playroom is using the screen in a different way, which was very exciting. And I was bummed that I didn't know this, and we haven't had a chance to check it out ahead of time, because I wish there were more of these things, because whenever I'm in the VR and it just shows on the screen what I'm doing, Carly's like kind of able to watch and see like, oh, Resident Evil bad, Jack's bad.
Yeah.
But it'd be different if say she had a map, or I had to be like, which room am I in? And she's able to say like, oh, go this way or something. Anyway,
I think she would actually enjoy that.
like any way to include somebody is great.
It
And-
sounds like Mario Party for the Wii U, but better.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't. I guess maybe it is better than the Mario Party for the Wii U, but it makes it a
When we're all
party
in a car
experience,
together.
and it's something where everyone can hang out and play together, which is great.
So that's a good point. Like Katie, my wife, is like old school video game person, doesn't like new stuff, but there's surprising games like the bomb game. I can never remember the name.
It's a long title, that's why. Keep talking and nobody explodes.
Thank you. It's this magical game that she just randomly gets into, and
I think
and
it's
I agree with you.
intuition. I think it's intuition. I think if something is so intuitive as to be close enough to real life, I think that's the key to all VR, is that if it feels the way it should, if you were to physically interact with an object, then it actually has it's almost universal at that point.
Yeah,
There's no learning. Mario has you have to press the cursor right to make Mario move.
how does flood work? How does
exactly?
This? No,
yeah.
there is a bomb, and I have the instruction manual, and I have to talk with this person that I can't see what they're seeing. It's fun.
Well, that's the beauty of these games, because I know a lot of people who would love to play video games, but if you haven't been playing them from a young age, there's something that people don't understand, that there's this huge barrier to entry to a lot of these things if you haven't grown up with them. If you try to play a third-person action game on a controller, sometimes it's too much. For example, Matt, I've tried to make him play first-person games. There is something that just does not connect.
Yeah. Well, I mean, two thumbsticks is something that's hard for some people to, if they're not gamers, they can't wrap their heads around it.
If you grew up doing like mouse and keyboard, case in point, me,
Yeah.
first time FPS on a console,
Yeah.
it was really, really hard. Now
I was
it's
007.
second nature.
Yeah.
And there's something about VR gaming which it is so approachable for some people that aren't used to like holding a controller. Because I know my nieces are free spirits, and they're young, and like there's one real shovelware game where the whole point is to be on a unicorn and eventually you press enough buttons and it just takes off and you fly on a unicorn. I'm like, Maya could play this fucking stupid 5-minute game for an hour and she'd be so happy. And there was a freeware game, or not a freeware. It was a like a PS Plus maybe called Concrete Genie. The whole point is like you paint an environment around the walls, or you like design a landscape, and you just like choose what you want to paint, flowers or trees. And I could just see my younger nieces just being so blown away at how fun it is and being able to interact with the environment. And this is a fun, approachable new form of entertainment and gaming for a lot of age groups or people. Like I get to see my dad playing Apollo 11 and enjoying it because it's the real audio of the moon, like the landing. And
okay, I got to be honest with you. I played that as well, all the way through.
Apollo 11 is brilliant.
I was blown away at parts of it. I think a lot of it relies on it being VR. There are a lot of great atmospheric choices that they make. I liked being on the moon. I liked the launch.
I like that it was factually accurate.
Yes.
So guys, just like a quick sidebar back to Concrete Genie. I haven't tried the VR aspect of it, but if you haven't tried Concrete Genie, it's such a good game.
I think Dylan,
it's beautiful.
I think Dylan would like it.
You would
artistically, love. It's great.
It's so
well, if I'm ever over at
any
of your guys' place, I would love to try
it's
some
for,
of these. But
yeah, it's PS Plus game. So I bet Brad has it. If you still have his PS4, then give it a crack. But I know you're playing Death Stranding right now, so. No. It's like the VR bit of it is just a VR experience. It's just like a one-off.
Well, I have access to his PS Plus.
Right.
But,
so if you get a chance, check out Concrete Genie, but by all means, keep playing Death Stranding.
So guys,
I have played 75 hours of it, so yeah.
Another sidebar. You're playing Death Stranding?
Yes.
Best game of 2019, man.
Okay, that's another episode.
Yeah, we have another
episode
coming
about
up
it.
for that.
Okay.
I'll
save my comments.
I bought the soundtrack and
I recently got the vinyl as well, and the vinyl sounds amazing.
Yes, it
and
does.
even Carly's like, "Oh, this is great." I'm like, "This is not Carly music." She's like, "This is what I used to listen to like back in the day." I was like, "Whatever."
I mean, it's all low roar. It's
but
fine.
you will have a chance to play Concrete Genie in VR because I'm going to loan the VR back to you at some point, probably because I know later this year we talked about possibly doing the Until Dawn is part of the Dark Pictures anthology.
Is that VR enabled?
Until Dawn Rush of Blood is a spin-off of Until Dawn.
Right. I know. I mean, I've played that.
Did you beat it? Did you beat it all the way through?
No.
And I'd want Allison too as well, and whoever else is around. It'll be a gentleman and their ladies podcast.
It'll be fun.
And
kind of a Halloween thing.
It'll be fun to get everyone, but because those games are a different sort of party aspect. But Until Dawn Rush of Blood for the longest time was my go-to recommendation for how cool VR was. I think using the Move controllers as gun is very slick in that because
it's a carnival ride.
It's a carnival ride. It is a.
I think the reason that that's your go-to show somebody what VR could be is because it's super easy. You are just sitting on a cart, you're flying forward, and you're just shooting.
Even the intro before you go to the menu, you look to the left, there's a spoopy sound, and there's like good effects that just like attack at you, but they have flashlights attached to the end of the gun, which really helps you aim because you might not know specifically where you're aiming, but the fact that the flashlight center is kind of guides you. It's great, but I think one of the perfect implementations of those controllers because how you move through an environment is the biggest issue. And the fact that it's an on-rail shooter, it works so perfectly because as long as you can just sit down in your chair, you're on the roller coaster. And it's very odd when the roller coaster takes a dip.
You can feel it.
You feel it. Like that's fucking with your brain, man.
Yeah. Well, and that's the whole point of all of this because we're moving further and further to where perception is going to equal the reality more and more as we move further into it because the less you're able to the more like the Ready Player One style future that we're all bound to have is literally going to be like you put the headset on and it almost connects to your nervous system. And then that's going to be exactly how you feel and react to everything. And the better these things get, the more it's going to be immersive, the less people are going to understand the difference between the reality and the fiction, which is also maybe bad. Do you guys remember the movie Inception?
Yeah.
No, I've never heard of it.
What is Inception?
that weird Christopher Nolan flick that I don't know made a bit of money. So what I was going to say is I fear a future where someone puts on the VR headset and gets so involved in the thing, like Leonardo DiCaprio's wife in the movie, that they then don't understand the difference between the world they take the headset off into and the world that they had the headset on in.
And that's a reasonable thing to say. My brain I tried to play as much as I could because I had 1 full week of quarantine while Carly had to work and I had to be at home. I had nothing to do. I was not allowed to really go anywhere I could, but so I was in there for 8 hours at a stretch, and that does start rewiring how your brain works and what you're looking at. I started dreaming in VR. I started having nightmares in VR. I
have Death Stranding dreams.
It's like I would wake up and it'd take like an extra moment to like have 3D start registering in my brain because it was like, what is how am I perceiving 3D? Is it like this way or the normal way? Yeah. And it was very weird. And
it's strange shit.
Yeah, because like when I had a nightmare, and to get out of the nightmare, I actually felt like I took the VR headset off in the nightmare, and then I woke up in bed. Yeah.
It's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing, but it is, your brain gets rewritten by what you spend most of the time doing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've had dreams in Chinese before.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I have dreams of drawing.
Yeah.
And then I wake up and I get really angry that I drew something really cool, and then I didn't.
I have dreams of being a great podcaster, and then I wake up.
And then you realize you're sitting across from one.
Hey. Jamie's sitting across from me from everyone listening.
I write really good riffs in my dream, and then I wake up, I can't remember them.
Honestly, like a snap. When I laugh in my dreams, I laugh so heartily.
Me too.
And when I wake up, I'm kind of just like, huh.
We have to just talk a little bit about Tetris Effect because it is honestly...
Oh, fuck yeah, we do.
Yeah.
One of my favorite soundtracks.
It's killer.
Oh, dude, it's so good.
I am now jealous that you own the soundtrack, because before I don't think I was just kind of like, oh, he's got the fucking vinyl.
How much did you play when you had the VR set?
I played all the way through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, I finished it.
man.
Yeah.
So
well, I mean, it's not hard. It's the last.
Did you play it?
So hold on. I played it on normal, but it goes in like the 4-section chunks as you move across that line.
Yeah.
And until that last one, that was the only time when I was really like, oh shit, like I really had to pay attention. But in the VR, there is this like, when they say that this is the most distilled version of what the actual Tetris effect is, because I did have dreams about it. It is a level of concentration.
Tetris, there's a Zen level you get where it's just dropping blocks and your brain organizing things, but the way the 3D interacts with that experience, and then the music and sound effects to the music, and like, because the sound effects of the blocks dropping is different every level depending on what song you're playing. So there's like this fun level where you're like going through a neon city, and it's got this like crazy jazz piano, and every time you drop a block, it hits like a different boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
And it sounds so stupid. And I remember when I got the VR and I heard about Tetris Effect was Tetris in virtual reality for $30, and I said, this is literally one of the dumbest things I've ever heard, because I've never been a big Tetris guy. I'm like, I have to buy it. And I bought it, and I sat down to play 20 minutes. I sat there for 2 hours, and it does become sort of transcending. Like,
it's meditative.
It's meditative, and it's calming, and the whole experience at the very end when you beat the level, like beat the game. There's like, you see the world and you see like someone in a meditative state, and there's like a real soothing music. It is an experience that
out of body almost. Yeah.
It's bizarre.
Can I say there's that episode or that level with all the gears?
Yeah.
I actually had a mushroom flashback during that.
Oh yeah.
I'm not fucking kidding. I had a mushroom flashback because oftentimes when I trip real hard, I can see. Have you guys ever heard of like machine elves?
Sounds like a sick metal band.
It's this idea that sometimes people see like gremlins operating machinery or electricity. It's a very common thing, and I actually had I playing this game completely sober. Like in the morning before I went to work, I was playing it and I was suddenly just like, oh. I'm like, and I remembered the little shadow gremlin things. I was like, holy fuck. I'm like, this took me right back to it. And I think that's a testament to just how well it's designed.
So I was actually a big Tetris guy growing up. Like my buddies and I would sit in my buddy's basement playing
Game Boy.
No.
The Nintendo 64 version.
The new Tetris, which is still my favorite Tetris.
That was the 64 version?
Yeah. Just because of certain aspects, but also nostalgia. And Brad kept on telling me, dude, get Tetris Effect. I'm like, I don't know. I bought it. I still play that game when I'm bored as shit at home. It's like, I want to play a video game, but I don't want to spend a lot of time. I'll just blow through Tetris Effect.
Yeah.
On top of that, that music is so good.
Just the fact that
the first level, sorry, Dom, like the very first level,
Yeah.
the very last level, those are my favorites.
Yeah.
And what I actually like deep dove into like who that is. Like, so it's like a Japanese like composer that does all the music, and it's actually a woman from Colorado that does all the vocals, like the female vocalist for that. I just get so engrossed into that. The last song of the game. It's the hardest level. It's infuriatingly hard.
Yeah, I couldn't
if
do
you
it
have it on the
harder.
wrong level. But the payback, it's the epitome, like it's the catharsis of the whole game from a music standpoint. And to your guys' point, like the meditating person, it's a cathartic experience.
Yeah.
It really is.
Absolutely.
Especially if you're a Tetris fan or a music fan or just a video game aficionado, it's an epic experience.
So, speaking of epic experiences and transcending life moments and catharsis, who played Doom VFR? Doom at VFR?
I have not.
I have not.
Neither have I.
Good.
Great.
It was like
Wonderful.
$7 on sale. I forced myself to play it for like an hour with the fucking Move controllers, and Doom is not meant for that. The assets looked terrible. They couldn't handle it graphically. Moving through the environments was bad. And I tried as hard as I could to use these, and I just set them down and I just picked up the controller at some point because I know some games actually have functionality with the regular controller.
This one did not.
This one did.
Oh, it did.
And it was barely playable. There was
Oh no.
No, I mean, there was moments where, like, with the regular controller, it was fun, and it's interesting that it is its own unique story. Outside of the Doom guy, like next to, like, if you're into that shit, it's not the regular Doom story with like recycled levels, but a lot of the assets are recycled. But Doom VFR was something that I was curious about for a while because I loved Doom 2016. That game was metal as shit and so fun. And virtual reality seemed like it could be fun for that. That's a game that it's too fast. If you want to play it the normal way, the way it should be played, it's too fast for VR. And if you want to play it the other way, it is clunky as shit and definitely avoid.
I've actually heard that once you get the controls down, it's actually fantastic.
So then what are we thinking about Doom,
I would say no.
Doom 3 VR coming
Well,
out?
But that's more of a survival horror.
I think
That's a
it's
slow
gonna,
game.
and I think it's going to be implementing the aim controller.
Doom 3?
Even if it doesn't, even if it's just like with using these, like I hope it implements the Move controller, but the aim controller. But that game is slower, and that game is more about tone and pacing rather than just like da 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 da. And the slow horror experience is so ideal for a VR setting.
I actually enjoyed Doom 3 better than Doom 2016.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't get into 2016.
Oh, I was so into 2016.
Because I can't even tell you what it was, but Doom 3, I played that on my old PC that would like overheat because, back then that was like a hardcore game. But I think that will make a great VR experience because, to your point, Brad, it's slower paced. It's more, to your point, survival horror. It's not metal as fuck, right? It's not headbang, like there's a million enemies, like metal music. I think it's a better rounded game.
Yeah, a spooky Ferris wheel is much better in VR than like a crazy roller coaster because that much movement and penetrating of a space is just too disorienting, and nothing works well enough to do that for most people.
Your eyes can literally not process the amount of stuff going on because if you're absorbing A, the 3D aspect of it, and then B, the pure visuals itself in an unfamiliar environment, that is almost too much for any brain to handle, no matter how you want to put it.
Even without VR, like I wasn't a fan of 2016, and I like the slower pace of Doom 3.
I appreciated it. I just found it like this is maybe the only way I would enjoy it. Maybe that's it, because I found it to be completely just innocuous and boring for Doom 3. But if I were more involved, if I were actually within the space, I think I could actually like really understand what they're doing if they update the voice acting.
Oh yeah. I like your point. Like getting more immersive into that world, because it is very slow pace. It's more about shock horror. It's more about jump scares. But
I hate jump scares.
But at the same time, some of those levels are, it's a lot of backtracking. It's a lot of, oh, well, okay, here's the door. Where's my key? Go back, find the key. I think that could add to VR, like searching around for your clues versus Doom 2016. I'll give it credit. That harkens back to the original Doom where it's run and gun. It's Call of Duty. It's Twitch. It
depends on how well they're able to thread that needle of essentially what is padding and what is actual gameplay. We'll talk about that in the Final Fantasy VII Remake episode. Whoa!
In 2 weeks, I am very excited.
I'm so excited to talk about that game specifically because, man.
Nick is going to come on and he's like, Dylan's going to be like Sephiroth and Nick is going to be Cloud and I'm going to be like Aerith. And Dylan's going to kill me, but Nick's going to avenge me.
This is a hypothetical thing because I was thinking about this earlier in the day, even when I was waking up and I knew that this episode was coming up tonight. Is there a game that already exists that you would love to see adapted into VR? Or maybe a studio who has a series of games that you would like to put into VR? Because I have an answer for that. If you guys are still going to think.
To me, it is maybe the first thing that comes to mind is maybe not something that is the best for the VR experience, but something that I would like is something like a Final Fantasy Tactics or a tactical RPG where you can, I love the concept of looking at a diorama and being able to look at it, or even if it was a tabletop game where like you could play co-op with somebody and you set your chess pieces up and they all have like, this is my wizard, they have different abilities and you could just see the map and move around it. I'm so into that.
Brad, I have the game for you.
Oh, shit.
It's called
Checkers.
Table of Tales.
Table of Tales. Is this a real game?
So this is a real game, and it starts out, you're some kid in his grandma's house.
Is this a VR game?
It's a VR game.
For PSVR?
Mm-hmm. And you go up into your grandma's basement, and you find this table.
You go up into your grandma's basement. So
grandma lives in hell. Grandma.
She lives in
She was like a Nazi. It's fine.
You go up into your grandma's.
So you go up into your grandma's attic, and you find this table.
Below the cellar.
And you push this button on a table, and it opens up.
Just a big fucking
and door. This parrot, this mechanical parrot pops up.
Okay.
It's fine. I missed the joke.
No, he said that you open your grandma's table and a dildo popped up, and I almost spit my beer everywhere.
If this were a different podcast, I'd be saying something way crude right now.
But the parrot is there instead of
So
parrot.
you push the button, the parrot comes out, and he says, "Welcome to this fucking game because you're about to strap in and get into it." And the entire game is on this table. You don't move from this location, but you go to these vast worlds just through this table. So, and when you start, you pick your players, and I think there's 5 players that you can pick, and you get to choose 4 of them. And one of them, depending on the combination that you pick first, one of them just immediately dies. So you go through the game with 3 players, but because of that, the story is totally different.
Yeah.
So the replayability of this game is at least 5 times.
Table of Tales?
Table of Tales. While you're doing it, you have your move controllers. You're picking up pieces, your players, and you're moving them across the board. It's a turn-based strategy. And then you go through the story, and the table will shift, and you'll go to the next scene.
Have you ever played like Hand of Fate?
No.
It sounds an awful lot like Hand of Fate.
That's a card game, right?
It's a card game, but it's also a half action game.
Okay. So this
It's
is
weird.
full on, like, look it up because it's fantastic.
This looks amazing.
It's incredible. It's really good.
Brad, you got to download
Dude,
that. I want to try
it's
it.
really good.
I gotta play Dark Souls VR first.
Dark Souls VR.
Duracine, whatever.
Duracine, yeah. Duracine and Table of Tales are my 2
First of all, you've only played
like
Bloodborne.
2 hidden gems that I'm pretty sure I got both of them for less than $10.
I think a lot of these things go budget.
And
Dom told me about this game like a few months ago, and I just downloaded it coming up to this VR episode, but I've been so busy with house purchase that I haven't been able to play it yet, but it's on my list.
it's
Escrow,
really
man.
cool, man.
Like when Dom was telling me about this game originally, it's like, that sounds dope as fuck.
It's really cool.
How about experiences that you guys would like to see in VR?
I actually, the one I thought about earlier, and I know I am constantly on this game's ass every single time. What Remains of Edith Finch would be a fabulous VR game.
Oh, I played it in VR. It's not VR,
It's
but
not.
I played it on my VR headset.
I was like, what?
And that scene where you're on the swing, I almost...
You felt
It's the
it?
one time, other than playing Rush of Blood, where I
Your
almost
stomach turned up.
puked
Oh,
in
my God.
in my headset.
This
I
game-
haven't seen.
okay,
I haven't
so-
played it yet. So,
so this is Sony Santa
it's not
Monica.
yeah.
So this is Sony Santa Monica, and I forget what the other company is, but they're the ones who made Unfinished Swan. Unfinished Swan would be my second choice. If you guys have never played Unfinished Swan, that game is one of my top indie games.
I feel
of
like
all
that
time.
one definitely speaks to
I
your
played
soul as
Untitled
an artist.
Goose.
I mean, as a person with daddy issues, yeah. But like, I think for the most part, though, that something like this would function so much because these games are ostensibly just first-person games, and the only thing you would have to change is to kind of 3D-ify the environments. Edith Finch is not a long game. It's maybe 3 or 4 hours at total. And Unfinished Swan is maybe 2.5 hours, if you're lucky. I think Unfinished Swan is a masterpiece. Edith Finch is so emotionally taxing. I got high with a friend of mine a couple years back, and I had it on my PlayStation, and we were fucking stoned out of our gourds, and we were playing at my house, and she was just like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. And I took over the controls, and I'm like, I don't know if I can either, but I know what to do, so I just fucking did it. That game is... The fact that you still haven't played it yet.
It's great.
Bradley.
Yeah, it's great.
I had to play Iron Man for the podcast.
This game is so... you could have done it. It's so short. It is...
maybe.
The way they shift perspectives, the way But it would all work in VR.
Yeah, well, and
every single aspect.
And
would.
the reason that you're bringing that up and the fact that I have played it in VR when it's not a VR game speaks truths to that, because even playing it, I was like, this needs to be a VR game, and I'm strapping in.
Well, how about you two? Games you'd like to see in VR?
See, that's a tough call. Like, realistically, the one game was Squadrons, and they made it VR. But like, I'm the type of gamer where, in my mind, VR has a place, and it doesn't have a place. And
can you elaborate on that?
What I mean by that is what I brought up before, like a platformer. A platformer to me doesn't have a place in VR.
Okay.
I don't enjoy a platformer VR game. I just don't. It could be the motion sickness, or it just could be I could play this without VR. And that could be, like I just said, a side effect of motion sickness. But
what do you think is one game that could actually then be improved by VR?
I don't have an answer to that. It's a cop-out answer, but they're like any game where I'm like, man, this would be so good in VR. It's been done. Because I'll play like an indie game, I'll play like an oddball game. It's like I'll enjoy the game for what it is, and at no point am I thinking this would be so much better in VR, because in my mind, VR is about immersion. And immersion is, in my mind, being somebody, not looking at someone, but being somebody.
Sure.
So something like Squadrons, I'm immersed in the
basically
cockpit.
first person. Yeah.
I would say that at this point in my VR experience, I have the most fun out of first person experiences.
I want them to. They've already remade Resident Evil 1 once for the GameCube. Take that same concept and just make it the engine from Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 8. Make that.
You have to make a completely different game.
Well, I know, but like take the Resident Evil 1 experience and make that a VR. Like remake it.
But Village is going to be VR.
Yeah, but like I want
Village.
Resident Evil 1 remake VR. I think that experience would work well. It's just like the way.
But it'd have to be made for VR.
Well, it have to be made from the ground up,
to
make it in the 7 engine, so it could be either way.
I think that's the one that they could do, because it is a slower paced Resident Evil game.
Yeah.
That one's the more puzzly. Why am I in this mansion that has all these weird things going on?
Take a plate over here and put the plate there, and put the lamp there.
Solve this shadow puzzle.
You could easily do it with that, but if you try to do it with like Resident Evil 2 or 3 or 4 or 5,
well, those have already been remade anyway,
and you couldn't do it.
But to me, 2 could have done it.
We are nearing the end of episode 2 here, and Dom, we need to know which game you'd like to see for VR. What franchise or future VR experience?
So I'm kind of in the same boat as Jamie on this one, but one of the things that I like is when a game comes out with a VR mode that I necessarily wouldn't have thought that VR would have been a thing. One of them being No Man's Sky, where it was a third person explorer game, and then when they came out,
it was FPS, yeah.
When they came out with the VR version of it, I was like, "Holy crap! This just made this game way more fun for me." So
I agree.
I really don't know. You can't do Death Stranding in VR because you can't always be looking at that backpack to see which direction.
God,
it's
if I could look at the BTs all around me, I would be
right.
Yes,
but guys, here's a great story. Big Death Stranding fan. This isn't about Death Stranding, but as soon as I finished that game, I looked out my apartment window and guess what I saw? I saw an Amazon delivery guy stacking it up like Sam Porter Bridges. And I couldn't get a photo fast enough. I saw that. I stopped what I was doing, and I just had to stare at this guy. This guy was a fucking champ.
This is why I want to be a postal guy. Yeah. I'm going to look hot like Norman Reedus at the end of this.
Yeah, that Amazon driver, he still delivers to our building. He stacks it up. He's my hero.
If you got to be the beast, you got to be the beast. And if you're going to be an Amazon delivery guy,
just do it, man. Own it. Just own it.
I don't envy you, but that's fine. I want pension and I want health benefits.
Well, PlayStation VR, huh?
It's pretty rad.
We love it.
It's pretty rad. At this point, I wouldn't recommend buying the original one unless there was like a good sale. The VR2 will be coming out for the PS5, so you will need a PS5, but not for like another year it won't come out. And I highly recommend checking it out. If you have a chance to check out either of them, any of them, give it a try because it is very fun.
It's a lot of fun.
I had such a blast with this thing. It was fun because for a while I got to be like, hey, check me out, living large. But it was also like, I would have some people over and I'm like, oh, you're not a gross person. You can put this on. And then I would be like, play Accounting Plus. And then it would literally just be like, it would be like watching someone take their first steps. It was literally like, oh, this is so weird. What the fuck is this? Because we're gamers. We already kind of have like a tolerance for something like this. But for your average person, I don't think that they could ever be prepared for it. Like,
this is a little console.
Like Sarah's mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. For a normal person, I think this is so magic.
It is. Sarah hates gaming, but whenever I strap it on, she's like, actually, can I try?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes. This is all I've ever wanted in my life is for you to want to play video games.
So here's a good ad. I'm buying Accounting Plus right now. Confirm purchase.
Right. And if it's funny, if it's interesting, I love it. I think that we're only at the beginning of what this shit is going to be. And I mean, mark my words, there's going to be, I mean, Half-Life Alyx was astonishing, but there is going to be something within the next year that surpasses that. And we're not even going to be prepared for it. In fact, most people won't, and most people won't play it.
Right. And that's the real shame of this whole situation is the fact that there are a lot of really good games for this. And a lot of really good games that have dual like VR and just regular mode, like Resident Evil 7. And people who haven't played Resident Evil 7, like you just a couple of weeks ago.
I mean, I played through the entire game before. But
right. But playing it in VR, in my opinion, is way better.
It's superior.
It's like Squadrons, right? You play it without VR. It's okay. It's
and
good, but
you did make a great point the other day, Dylan. Like, it's super impressive, but you know, after a couple of weeks, like the sheen wears off to an extent too. And and I think there's a pretty solid library of games for this now. And if you're able to find the top games, the best games, there are many experiences worth the price and worth all of it. There's enough shovelware to scare people away, though. So just
use our podcast as a starting off point because I trust everyone here's opinion. So the way we've kind of done like half reviews all the way through this, I think that we've actually given a pretty comprehensive list.
Yeah. So check it out if you have a chance, and we definitely recommend getting the next one.
I will be getting the next one, that's for sure.
This has been Raw Dogs. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram. We're Hair the Dogcast, and on Twitter at Hot Dogcast. Dylan, should people support us on Patreon?
Yeah, we've got a ton of different tiers. You get a lot of benefits for that, including the fact that you're listening to this. You're probably already at the $3 or more tier.
Which means you're cute.
Yes. If you want to go further than that, there are a lot of other benefits. Though I'll tell you what, the guys that we have, even at the lower ones right now, if you came to Milwaukee, we'd show you a good time no matter what. However, if you just wanted to hop on and you wanted us to take you to a bunch of breweries, $50, man. We're ready to go.
We're ready to party, and we will buy you enough beers to pay that back real quick. If you did come.
We would be okay.
We would be cool. Just Dylan's got some dance moves no one has seen in person besides us. And
yeah, I'm gonna dance on this table to "I Love Rock and Roll" later, even though it's my least favorite.
Dress as
a hurrah. Yeah. We'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. And if you are a Patreon supporter, that means in 2 weeks we're talking about the Final Fantasy VII remake. And if you're not, that means we talked about it a long time ago, and you should go listen to it as well.
That podcast is going to be like watching British Parliament. Everyone's going to be yelling at each other.
Everyone's right except one person.
Oh, I'll be right.
And we'll be right back in a couple of weeks. So strap on your headsets, everybody. Go play some VR. We will see you next time.
Cheers, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.
If you're a shrewd shopper, it's about to be your favorite time of the year. HyperX will be running massive sales for the holiday season. Get up to 50% off some of our most popular products like the ultra comfy Cloud 2 headset, the tough, responsive Alloy Origins mechanical keyboard, and the fan favorite Quadcast USB microphone. Sales will be going on at all major e-tailers, but be sure to head to HyperX.com and sign up for the newsletter to get the scoop on the biggest deals. Happy holidays from HyperX.